So now it's time to start our webinar today. Welcome again to our webinar. Most attendees are online. I will start slowly talking and maybe some other attendees will attend. I hope you can hear me well. I want to introduce myself briefly. My name is Thomas Zillmann. I am here with the Luratech company, which is part of the Foxit Group, and I want to present the topic of scanned documents to high compressed PDF to you in the next, well, let's say 45-50 minutes. So this is our topic of today, and I hope you will get some interesting information. Before I really start, I'd like to show you a little bit this PDF features, advanced features, which I will also cover briefly, but it's very easy. Obviously, my presentation will be a PDF file itself, so you can easily we'll look at this. And the one nice thing, which comes with Foxit Reader, is that the red dot indicates that there is an attachment. So obviously, I created the presentation in PowerPoint and converted this to PDF, and I have the PowerPoint original embedded, and I have also other examples embedded, which we will see during the live part of this webinar. Now we can switch to full screen, and then also some organizational points for the beginning. So the webinar is mainly I talk to you and you hopefully get some interesting information. Nevertheless, we would like to discuss and with you a little bit, get your questions. So if you have any questions, there's a question window, and please feel free to use it, and then I will try to answer the questions which you have during the webinar. Maybe immediately when it fits to the topic. I will come back to some questions at the end, and if there's a, let's say, complicated question which needs more time, then obviously we'll be happy to answer this question after the presentation has been done. So as I said, my name is Thomas Zillmann. As you can easily hear, I'm not from the Americas. I'm here located in Europe, but I hope you can get my English quite well and understand this. And now we will, sorry, that was too fast, now it's better. The first thing is just to give you a short overview about Luratech. As I said, it's part of the Foxit family, so most of you are already Foxit customers. So we are now an integrated part, which comes with the Foxit family for over a year, or nearly a year, not over a year, nearly a year. The main thing, so this is where Luratech comes from, is what we call document conversion. So this is where we really have our strong point. So if you have any business documents, any documents, whether scanned documents, digital documents, office documents, emails, all those things, then we provide the server solutions, and this is also a small difference to the, maybe you know, Foxit and Foxit Phantom PDF as a flagship product for editing and creating and working with PDF files. So this is more on the server side, where, for example, with scanned documents, you may have a very high volume and you convert this with our tools to high compressed PDF. And this is also our product, which is called PDF Compressor. So this is our main product. That's also the product which we want to cover today, which I also want to give you a short live demo and practical examples. It's really a production level application for the compression, conversion to PDF, and also can make scanned documents full text searchable. A product which we will not cover today is a rendition server. Sorry, my colleague is telling me something's wrong here. What's that? An ugly window? No. Sorry. What is it? Is it better? No, it's still there. Sorry, small technical problem here, which we want to solve. No. Not better? Yeah. Okay. Thanks to my colleague. So now you should see the screen much better. This is a normal Windows task. So PDF Compressor is a product which is our main topic for the day. We also offer the rendition server, which is very good for central PDF conversion. So there will be other webinars for this. This will be not covered today. And also, as you know, and as you are a Foxit customer, then we are now here to, on an organizational side, to present Foxit in Europe. First, when we think of scanned documents, then basically we start with a piece of paper. So you have lots of paper in your digital mailroom, in your folders, in your paper folders, and this is first, the first promotion, and I hope I do not really need to convince you that color scanning is a good thing to do. So, and you can see the samples on the bottom, and obviously this is marketing. The black and white one is very bad, but you have seen those samples. So black and white scanning may lose a lot of information, of valuable information in your business document, and what really is a good document, but also your users in your departments expect is a color document which contains all the information, and this information may also have a very important role. So somebody really marked something, so this is an information where the worker on this document want to signalize here something is important, or maybe the stamp and the color of the stamp has an importance. So there are a lot of things which are for color scanning, and I hope no real need to convince you here. On the other hand, when we look to the, let's say, to the industry, to the state of the art of the hardware, then there are scanners around for years now which really deliver a very good cost-performance ratio. So they are not as expensive, as I'm in this business for more than 10 years now. When I think 10 years back, it was really expensive to buy a color scanner, but those are all for acceptable prices away, depending on your size. You may have small volume, you may have medium volume, you may have high volume. So this is everything which is available, and those are also fast these days. So when I remember 10 years back, color scanning with a high quality, which is 300 dpi in the scan business, was really slow, so not really usable in production environment. But this is not the case anymore. So if you have a modern hardware scanner, and I guess you have seen such scanners, you can really put in a lot of paper and it goes like hell, I would say. And it's definitely the case that the hardware is not the bottleneck for a scan process anymore. It's more, let's say, the software side, if you really have very high volume on that. Also for the scan scenarios, you may have different requirements and different applications in your organization, and here I want to give some ideas. There's definitely much more behind that, but to give you an idea, an overview, and I guess you can easily see where your departments and your usage is. So on the one hand, there's a lot of distributed scanning, typically with MFP devices. So you know, these devices which can copy and which can print and which can also scan. And very often we see customers who do distributed scanning in the departments, which can be done very easily, very straightforward, and then there may be or should be a background conversion on the server. An organizational option is also, do you want to scan central or decentral, so that you have this in your organization. This also depends on your organization type. So if you're distributed all over the country, then it may be a good idea to have decentral scanning. If you have a digital mailroom where you want to get all the paper mails from all your customers and business partners in one location, you may have one central digital mailroom who's doing all the scanning in one point. So that's differences in the organization. Scanning is difficult, the preparation is a lot of work, I guess you know that. And from the, let's say, software point of view, from the product point of side, then it's rather straightforward with PDF compressor, as we will see. But when you have really high volume, so we have a customer, for example, health insurance, they do 25 million pages per year, so you can easily imagine that's high volume. Then you really need to set up a good configuration, deploy some hardware in order to process this volume in a timely manner. And also one detail, but an important detail, the OCR, so making the scanned document full text searchable, is somewhat computing intensive. So if you're really doing a large amount like this 25 million with OCR, then it's really the point that you need to test this, to set this up, and we can help with the configuration of that. And basically the base application scenarios are digital mailroom, and the other one is folder digitization. So you may have, maybe you're a bank or maybe you're an insurance company, then you may have thousands of customer folders, or in a construction company you may have project folders, so things like that. And then this is also best practice. This is something which you may not want to do on your own. You don't want to set up a whole scanning department. You don't want to buy the hardware, which is then for very high volume also somewhat expensive. So there are scan service providers around which have a good know-how to do this for you, and you can easily just give the paper to them, and you should, yes, hopefully ask for high compressed PDF, and as we will see, full text searchability is also a very important piece. So how are we doing that? And this slide is one of the most important slides. So this describes in basics the principle of our high compression. How do we reach that? And it's here very simple, but I will show you also real life examples in a minute. So if you have a very generic document here in the upper left corner, this has some text in red and blue, so also color text. It has an image part, and this is a main trick of our high compression solution. Very easy to understand, very complex software algorithm, but very easy. It's within one PDF file, and then it splits the objects, the different objects in the document, into 3 different layers. So on the one hand, it creates a text layer, which is a text in black on white background, and this is in typically business documents, text is the most important information, so that's where we really want the highest quality, and this is also a lossless compression, so the quality of the document is as good as the scan hardware could do it. Then there's something was written in red and blue in my example here, and this one has a text color layer, so there's just information. The red text was in red and the blue text was in blue, and what is graphics, images, logos, tables, things like that, they can be compressed very heavily. And this is where you see a sample here based on 1-page letter size. So if you do it in color scanning, totally uncompressed, so this is TIFF typically, then you get around 25 megabyte. And you don't need a calculator to figure out this is much too much for all your business documents. So in history, the practical or pragmatic solution was to go for black and white, but this loses information. This is not a nice document. Sometimes JPEG was used for that, for color, and this is marketing again and oversized, but you know this effect. So JPEG is wonderful for my digital camera, for my iPhone making pictures, but JPEG was never designed as a document format. It's one picture, typically one photo per one file. And the simplest thing you want to have is a multi-page document. You have 10 pages in your letter and they belong together. And if you go to PDF or PDF-A, then you really reach the size, and this is something to remind. It's 55 or 65 KB, and this is like you know it from black and white. Maybe we can look in those samples to get an idea. So as I said, I embedded those in my PDF file. So this is one ready and compressed sample file. So this was an historic magazine, and what I just showed you on the slides is also here. So and then you have any PDF viewer, but also Foxit reader can obviously do it. Those 3 layers I just showed you, you can see in this layer button, which you can see on the left. And there you can have the ability to switch those layers on and off. So I can, and it goes somehow backwards, so I can really go down to a black and white layer. So you see the best quality, as good as the original and the scanner was. I can add the text color again. So you see the 10 best customs. This was the color. So you see on the one hand it's black text on white background. Here comes the color back, and if we want the pictures again, because we may want to print this document again, this goes here. So that's the one thing. This document is also full text searchable. And this is also a very nice feature, which I personally love from Foxit Reader. So you have a very simple option which says view, and then you can see the text viewer, and then you see the text layer. So what's really in this pixel document, which is now the OCR text. So that's one example. And the other one is hopefully also interesting for you. This is a large format map. So when I received this, it was 50 megabytes, so not really easy to handle, not really easy to go. But now it's down to 2 megabytes, so I can easily mail it. But you see, it's a little bit ugly here. So it was somewhere in the cabinet, and the cabinet got some dust. It was folded, so it's not very nice. And again, this also helps for the quality. So when we switch off the background here, then you see the black and white, or the black and white and the color layer. And when we zoom in, you can also easily see it's a very good quality. You can read all those small figures and things like that. And I love this because the picture of, it's a map from my home. So that's another example. So I showed you a letter size, and the other one was a large format scan. Then I also, you've seen it in the slides, I also mentioned a little bit PDF-A. So this is an ISO standard for long-term archiving. And yeah, the title is hopefully a good point. So if you go with scanned documents, if you go to PDF, if you hopefully deploy high compressed PDF, and if you do PDFs, then PDF-A for archiving, A for archiving is a good idea. And this was the goal of the ISO, to define a standard for long-term archiving. So they defined a format which makes sure, and think of your documents, if it's a construction plan, it's easily 50 years. If it's an insurance document, it's 80 years. If you're an archive or a library, you want to have it forever. And this was the goal of the ISO Worldwide Standards Committee, to say we need something, because our IT world is a very fast changing one, but the documents may be around for 50, 80 years, and nobody knows what was in the history and what will come in the future in our fast-moving IT industry. And the main goals, just to give you an idea, was to have it device, software, and version independent. So PDF also delivers this. So you can watch a PDF on a laptop, on a tablet, or on an iPhone. It's software independent, so it doesn't matter which version you have, it's always a PDF, and it's also independent from the operating system. So you can have a Macintosh or an iPhone, you can have a Windows PC or even a Linux machine, which will be able to reproduce and recreate. The one principle, and this is important for PDF-A, is that everything which belongs to this document, which is needed to reproduce, to recreate the document in a good manner, is self-contained. So everything must be in, which is in a simple case. Just think of fonts. So I used Arial maybe, or Times New Roman. There's no problem with a Windows PC today, but maybe a problem in 20 years from now. And therefore, one of those lots of small technical requirements is to embed the font which you used in order to create the document. There's a lot of technical things and details, but typically a good tool is doing that for you. It's also the option to have it self-documented, so PDF can offer metadata to describe it, and it's also transparent, so it's a documented standard. So on the one hand, we are doing that, but maybe in 10 years we're not around anymore. I don't hope so, but if the company is gone, then still the ISO is there. And even if Adobe or Microsoft is gone, if there's some kind of a computer, then anybody or a programmer is able to produce a view. And this is the idea of PDF-A, to create this digital paper. So this is what I wanted to present here. So on the one hand, I hope I could convince you that color scanning is widely used. Color scanning is state of the art, so that's not a problem anymore. And if you use also PDF-A, then you get a safe long-term standard, which is what we like to call digital paper. So you remember, you have this paper in your cabinet, but now you can also have it as digital paper. It offers a full text searchability, so this is, according to our customer experiences, one of the major benefits. So if you just scan a document, it's a pixel document which is just stupid or dumb. You cannot really work with it. You just look at an image and can read the text, obviously, but the real, let's say, fun and processing of documents starts when it's searchability. So you can also find those documents, and you have seen the compression, so we can do a very high compression here. Even for black and white, they can get 40 to 60% smaller, or if you go for color scans, I showed you the samples, they reach the size of, like you know it from black and white. And as I said, the typically applications are the digital mailroom and the digitization projects. When we have a look at the PDF compressor, here's what I would say the architecture in general, and very easy. PDF compressor is a product, a server tool which sits on the system, sits there as a service in the background. So I will show it in a minute in live how you use it, but when you have done the configuration once, then it sits in the background and is doing the work for you, and you can throw in basically anything. So today we discussed a little bit on scanner and paper, so the input may be TIFF, so if you scan uncompressed, the input may be JPEG, maybe PDF itself, so some of those, think of MFP scanners, you can already scan to PDF, but this is rather simple PDF, and you have the opportunity to create a high compressed PDF and make it full text searchable, but you can also do what we like to call the born digital documents. So if you want to convert the Office files for long-term and archiving, if you have the emails and want also to put those in a safe way to your archive, then this is a good option. I'm missing somehow my questions here. Okay, I want to just briefly check whether we have some questions already, but not so far. Okay, then I want to give you a short demonstration of PDF compressor. As I said, it's a server, so it's sitting here in the background. And just in a very quick demo here through this webinar, so obviously it's a real production level application where you can do a lot of things, but I want to give you an idea how easy you can do it. What you see with the interface is a job list, so you can have different jobs. So there may be a job for, I showed you the samples, the one was a large format, so you may have a large format job, which has also, when you go into the details, into the fine-tuning, different parameters. There may be a job for born digital, like emails. There may be another job for normal letter size documents, and so on. So you have a good control here. This is what is done, and then basically in a simples mode, PDF compressor just works on a folder. So this is a demo folder here. So there, as you can see, there are some TIFFs, rather large, because they are totally uncompressed in the best quality. So when you think of a digital mailroom, then you scan, or you may have multiple scan stations which scan the documents, and then just to create a job here, and then you can double click such a job. You give it a name. So it's, let's call it Foxit here, for example. And then for the easiest way through, you just define where are my input files. So you can easily select those. I can find them easily there. So I wanted to use those laptop things. You can merge the files, so you see there are multiple options. The one thing is PDF compressor really figures out what is the best way. So converting scanned documents to PDF is a technical, another job than, for example, converting emails to PDF, and then, but you can, from a user point of view, you can just throw in everything, a mix also, and PDF compressor will, with the automatic option, will figure out what's the best way. You can define the input format, so I have TIFF files, but I don't have JPEGs or BMPs or PNM. I may have PDFs, but also I don't have this. So this is what you say at the input side. Obviously there are advanced options. Then you want to say where it goes. So this is the hot folder operation mode. And in this case, we just put it to what I call the output folder. Then you define the output format. Then you have the OCR. Obviously, we want to do OCR. We want to switch on some languages. And you can choose the compression. And this is where obviously a lot of fine-tuning. So if you have very specific documents, and our support is happy to help with fine-tuning. But we also have a long-term experience with scan documents. So in most cases, the defaults are at least a pretty good starter. When you have very homogeneous and maybe very special things, then we can do fine-tuning, but in basics, in general, this works fine. And this is basically everything you have to do to get the first job running, and then you just start it. And it doesn't start because I made an error. I should select override existing because I tested my demo before, but now it should work. And as you can see in the bottom, there are 2 cores deployed for the server. So it's using 2 cores and is running in this mode. And as I said, this is what you typically do once. So normally it goes into the background. You don't watch PDF compressor working. So our best quotes from customers are we would never see them again after starting. But as I said, you also have different operating modes. So this is the most simple one, the hot folder. So scan into the input, convert to the output, and move it on into the workflow from there. So this is the one, but there's also, for example, an API. So if you really want to integrate PDF compressor in a more complex input management environment, that's obviously also possible. And when the jobs are through, then you can see what I selected, the output file. So you see very small files. Typically they are 1 page, but you can see it's all something between just the multi-pages, 2 pages, 40, 50, 60 kilobytes. So this is very nice, and you have a very, very good very good document quality. So it's as good as the scan was. So the high compression does not compromise the scan quality. So this is what I wanted to show you as a short presentation of the PDF compressor. And when we come back to our presentation here, then I hope you have an point or a good idea how scanned documents can go to PDF compressor and be compressed. Now I want to put it the other thing. So in the architecture, I talked also about Lawn Digital, and as I said, this is an option which is available and can also help. But very often our customers start with scanned documents as let's say a step 1 or a project 1, and later on you can extend this. And here's some ideas. Let's put it as kind of an outlook. So what are the use cases for the Born Digital? I mentioned them already a little bit. So the Office thing. So all the documents you have, and you don't want to archive all the Word versions when you work with your colleagues and have 20, 50 versions. That's likely not. But when it comes close to the archive, so when I work with my colleague and we work on a Word document and do change marks, but at the end when we say, okay, that's ready, that's what we want to keep, that's what we maybe want to send out to our customer, then it's a good point in time also from the logical point of view to make it a PDF or PDF-A file and put it into the archive. So that's where PDF compressor can help to convert the internal documents to PDF. Also PDF to PDF-A can be a good thing. So the bad news is, or the good news is, let's start with the good news. The good news is there are thousands of PDF tools, so you have a large choice. Unfortunately, especially the cheap ones, so the free and share do not really do good technical PDF if you go into the bits and bytes level. And this is where a conversion to PDF-A helps, because PDF-A has some strict rules and will detect technical problems which may create problems in 5 or 10 years when you don't expect them anymore, and so you can really make sure to have safe and high quality documents in your archive. Also there's email management. This is a wide topic, so I cannot cover in this short webinar what all the options of email management and email archiving are. But when we go to the basic format level, then it's also a good idea, and a lot of customers are doing that, to convert the emails into PDF, also for archiving purposes, for having them in the ECM and document management system. And also PDF can help here. So on the one hand, if you use straightforward PDFs, then you get a flattened version. So this is the one which is just one page after the other, which is okay, but think of a typical email. Then you have the email body, so the text I write maybe to you, and then I have a Word attachment, I have a PowerPoint attachment, and things like that. And it's all in a row, and you cannot really figure out anymore, was this a Word in the original, was this the Excel? And this is where PDF A3 comes in. This really goes for complete archiving with different options. So this depends on your requirements, but very often you can have the body and the attachments as original format, or you can also embed this. I also have an example here, which is a email sample, and again we can just open it from the file. So you see this looks like a body here. So my colleague wrote me this mail, and in this case we selected to say just the body goes to PDF, and again we can see the attachments with a red dot, that the attachments like a doc, like an Excel are still there as originally. So this is one option. As I said, there are multiple options to convert those, and here it's a short outlook. We're happy to provide more information to you for this, or we'll likely have also a dedicated webinar in the near future for that. And then, yes, I mentioned it already, PDF A3, but I want to come back to this with this one slide here. So this is a very strong feature, which is not really new, to be honest. So PDF A3 is obviously a newer ISO standard, but PDF could do it for many years. You could embed the files. So PDF A3 mainly defines a very clean and proper way to embed any file, as you have seen it in my example. And basically, it's for the technical people, it's rather simple. The feature is only one feature. You can embed any file, whatever you want to do. So you can embed a video, you can embed an audio file, and if you like, you can even embed a virus. So it's not not forbidden by the ISO standard, but likely not very useful from the use case. But this is especially what offers interesting use cases. And the only thing you have to do when you embed any file is to define the type. So that's the only feature or requirement you need to do, and those are in uppercase here. So the one thing is source, which is easy. So it may be a Word file, and then I embed the Word file and have a PDF version. I showed you my presentation, so my source was PowerPoint because I did this presentation in PowerPoint, and now we're looking to the PDF file. And there are other things which you can do. Then you have supplements. So think of my samples which I embedded. Those are typically supplements because they make it one complete presentation. So also from a logical point of view, what I'm showing here to you today is one file. So we put this in our archive and we can always find it too. So we don't have to find all my demos and my examples again. It's all in one file. It's one container, one archive object where everything is in. Then it's data, another option. So this is what we see, for example, in medical applications when people have raw data or things like that. And then we have the alternative type. This is if you have, an alternative representation, and a very famous example, which is here in Germany, but also in Europe and also in other countries, where, for example, I know this from Brazil, that you can have the invoice also as an XML file. And I also have a short example here. So this is the invoice. And the nice thing is, and I really think this is a very, very good format and container format. So on the one hand, it's a simple PDF file. So if I know nothing from IT, I'm able to open a PDF in Foxit Reader or Adobe Reader, print it, check it, and pay it manually. But if I'm in a larger organization, then I have an attachment, and there's the XML file. So this is all the invoice data in XML, which is again the receiver of the invoice, the address, the invoice amount, the value-added text, things like that. But the nice thing is, if you want to go for automatic invoice processing, and you can pick this XML file, move it to your ERP system, maybe you're running SAP, and then process it automatically. So this is a hopefully nice example for the electronic invoicing. When you want to deploy PDF Compressor, then I want to try on this slide to give you some ideas about how you can do it, how you can implement or use it in your organization. I try to make it simple, and this is also what our customers are doing. It's depending on your usage. So the one easy case is you go for small. So you have a small department or maybe just 1, 2, 3 users, things like that. Then PDF Compressor is not very hungry. If you have a normal Windows PC, you can just install it on your desktop PC, will run in the background, and if you have a small volume, which may already something, you can easily run it on one desktop PC and everything is fine. If it's a little bit more volume, if it's maybe multiple people, or as my picture shows here, multiple scanners which produce a lot of scanned documents like TIFF, like JPEGs, maybe more than 2 scanners, maybe 10 in a department level, then comes a point where you want to have a conversion server. So this is typically also rather normal PC, not really a server. At this point, maybe even if you buy a normal PC today, you typically get already 4 cores, which delivers a good power, and this would be what I would call the department server. And maybe 10 scanners and 20 users are using that, and then it's easy to use. And if it really goes to high volume, so if you are with a large bank and you have those 25 million pages per year or even more incoming paper mail, then obviously it needs a little bit more hardware. Then really PDF Compressor will have likely its own compression server. So, and this may be then, we have customers which are running 20, 30 or even more cores in order to manage the throughput, to manage the volume. So this is that. And then when it's compressed and converted, it goes into the archive, into the document management system, or in the workflow of your processes, and everybody has a very nice PDF file. Also, a first idea on the pricing I want to give you in the overview here. So we offer flexible models for different configurations and requirements. So we can really, or maybe we start a little bit here in the middle. So on the one hand, with scan projects, sometimes you really have a one-time project, and we also have a license model where you have one-time options, or we call it cartridges. So if you know I have 1 million pages to you, then you get a fitting license of 1 million pages. You can process this backlog, whatever it is, and then when it's done, it's done. So this is a one option, which is really one time. If you are, for example, in the digital mailroom area, then obviously you have an ongoing stream of incoming paper documents which you want to process very fast and easy, and there are different levels. So if it's small, and we start small, it's like the advanced model. So it's a yearly page volume starting with 12,000 pages per year. Now I see also a question here, so just to have a ballpark figures, this starts with approximately $400. When you go into the standard thing, which is really a server already, which can do up to 5 million pages per year, then we are also, here's this question for the ballpark figure, with around $10,000. So you see the range, and but this is also flexible, so going from 400 to 10,000, and obviously if it's a very large high volume operation, then it may get even a little bit more expensive, but then we are talking about a volume of beyond 5 million pages, and this is really then a very big one. And I showed you, or gave you a little bit the outlook into the Born Digital thing, and this is an add-on module. So on the one hand, you can have the scan, or you can have the Born Digital, whatever your application is, or obviously you can do both together. It's still one product which can do both, and as I said, with the automatic mode, it will figure out what it needs. So this is what I wanted to present you today in this webinar. I hope I could give you an overview or good introduction that Luratech, as part of the Foxit company, is a real good partner for scanned documents to high compressed PDF. So for those solutions, those application areas, and as part of the Foxit family, then Foxit and we are obviously happy to help you with complete client and server solutions. So Foxit is a real PDF company, and we are also. So we are really living and breathing PDF every day. So everything, every question, every requirement you have around PDF can be done quite well, and we are happy to discuss solutions and products with that for you. So the test version is also available, and I showed you something, but please feel free, require a test version. You can find it on the Foxit website under the product section, and then there's a request to get a test version, and it's really easy going. So if you have or are thinking about scanned documents, and I really recommend it. So PDF Compressor convinces itself. I don't need to talk too much about that. So really take some of your examples, throw them into PDF Compressor, and hopefully get excited how high the compression is, how good the quality of the document is. So that's what we want to do. Okay, then I'm checking. I'm at the end. If you have an immediate question, please feel free to post it or write it now into the question box. If not, or if you have a question in 5 minutes or in 5 days, then we are always happy to help and to deliver information to you. So you see my email, or if you're in contact with Foxit already because you're a Foxit customer, then please feel also free to contact your Foxit person, and then we can continue and can hopefully work out a very good solution for you. Thank you for your attention. I hope you got some interesting information. We offer webinars on a regular basis and hope to hear or see, no, not see, hear you soon again. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.